Lace up those football boots. It's time for another edition of First Touch. Now, this edition is going to be action-packed. The Women's League continues, so to the Premier League as well as the youth. And then Barbados, the Tridents are gearing up for USVI. It's our first home game in Concacaf. All this and more coming up on this edition of First Touch. Now, before we get into the national team and how they're readying themselves for the USVI, we're going to go into the BFA corner, where the BFA has stepped up to help all the registered teams as the ongoing saga on the tokens issue at the various grounds around the island is about to be settled. We hear from Matt Fingal, chairman of the board at the National Sports Council.
When 10 men play basketball, man, it's only $10 an hour. You know what that is? $1 an hour. When 11 men, 22 men playing a football game, that's less than 50 cents for a man. And in basketball, it just 10 men, is men waiting to play afterwards too. Barbados, like the forward, told the National Sports Council to charge $35 for token. That's what they told us. Is that right, sir? $35 for token. And it was based on their understanding of the wattage and the kilowatts or whatever that goes up. Pardon? The consumption. It was based on that. So they were looking at it from their standpoint of knowledge of what they're doing. But the council decided and the government decided that that is too much. And they went from 35, not to 25, not to 15, to $10. Just so that you can enjoy yourself and play. And even then, you don't want to pay for it. That didn't hurt me. You know, it's $500,000 come up. Initially, I was thinking of the Jenny token boxes. But the expense of that at this time is going to present a different plan. There's a plan to get new tokens. But what I want to discuss here tonight, I want to explain to you that to do that is another expense. What we want to do is work with the tokens we have for right now until we get back on our feet. And for you to purchase the tokens from the sports council. We supposed to own 1,000. We have to book 5,000. So there's some of the lurking somewhere still. People have some that brought in, I guess, the few here. But we want you to purchase only for the sports council. You'll be given a receipt. And what we want to do is to not sell to just anyone that shows up. We want to sell to responsible people.
Now, at this same meeting, the BFA stepped up to ensure that their players and clubs were well taken care of in this situation. Joining me now is the communications officer at the BFA, Michael Phillips. Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, the BFA stepped up and said we're going to ensure that our teams are taken care of so that the issues going on with the tokens and the lights in particular does not affect the BFA. So what exactly is the stance?
Okay, it's a very serious situation with the National Sports Council. No lights means that no activities can go on after a certain time. So what the BFA has decided to do, we've decided to step up, take the responsibility for the situation, and we will be issuing the tokens to all of our registered members who use the National Sports Council facilities. So we have some Premier League teams who use these facilities to train. We have some First Division teams as well. We actually have all of our First Division games play at National Sports Council grounds. So we will be issuing these tokens out to these teams so that the Premier League teams can get their training in and we can actually start our Division 1 tournament.
Because the Division 1 is actually a week behind.
Yeah, it's a little bit behind. Everything was on stream to go, but because of the situation with the lights, we really couldn't go forward with that. So now we're going to be taking control of that situation and moving forward.
Okay, well, good going by the BFA.
Thank
So as
you
you heard, the BFA stepped up and ensured that everything is okay from their end, and we take a commercial break and come back with a lot more action on First Touch.
Barbados Steel Works, we're more than just steel. Foundation to roof and everything in between. Building or renovating, there is simply no debating. material depend on us. Barbados Steel Works, we're more than just steel. Foundation to roof and everything in between. Come to Barbados Steel Works.
Now, welcome back to First Touch. Now, everybody asks this question: who or what is a technical director? Now, I have my trusty teammate with me, who I have with me every week, Nick Maitland. Nick, everybody kind of gets it confused, or I should say, people kind of don't understand exactly what's the role of the technical director. So, I guess you'll be able to give a better explanation as to exactly what that role entails.
And I hope I can give a proper explanation. I was reading the FIFA Technical Directors Handbook recently because, of course, I heard about the Technical Directors Workshop. So I also wanted to know, what does this job really entail? And the technical director, as it says, is the director of technical development. This is technical development of the teams, the national teams, and football in general in the association or in the club. And he proposes a technical plan of development to the general secretary and the president, and as such, he gets the technical funds from FIFA to help develop the association. So he is to the national coaches and the players what the general secretary would be to the rest of the management staff of the association. And FIFA has placed a lot of importance on this role in terms of developing football, especially in the weaker nations. And Barbados, one of those nations who are now developing in the world game, need to have someone to lead our technical development. As such, we do have a technical director.
Okay, so now that we have the explanation of the technical director, as you mentioned, there was a FIFA Technical Directors Workshop right here in Barbados. It happened over 3 days, and we're going to hear from Anton Cornel, who is a FIFA expert, along with Etienne Selei, who is a Concacaf representative at that workshop.
My name is Anton Cornel. I'm one of the FIFA experts coming to our region to really lecture on ways we can help technical directors from our region. This is our second module that we are bringing to our region, where some of the technical directors before would have met a year and a half ago to discuss certain aspects of development. This module that we are doing would be really dealing with coach education and the elite youth player, in saying that we are using best practices across the world, but also tailor-making it very specific for our region because of some of our challenges. We've got 3 competent instructors coming in, and it's a time where technical directors in our region are able to state some of the issues, some of the challenges, ways we can address it. It's all about finding solutions, and we will be guiding this process for the next 3 days.
Morning. My name is Etienne Selei from Concacaf, representing Concacaf Development Office, and in this case more in education and also technical director capacity. The aim of our present here, especially in collaboration with FIFA, is for dealing with the challenges of our region. We all know that we have a diverse region with different reference and also difference in culture and difference in our football reality. And Concacaf is since 8-10 years that we start with different strategies, especially to cater our region. In this case, education is one of our spear points, besides education, club licensing and also competition. And in this meeting with especially experienced technical director, it is a good opportunity to share our latest strategies and also the best practice, and also to understand what are the challenges that our technical director in our region are confronted with. And I hope within this 3 days that we can get some clear picture what are maybe big challenges in short term, and also how we can collaborate with FIFA, especially related to those challenges, to recapacitate our TD, but also to empower our MA in their pathway, especially in youth development, elite development, and competitions.
Yes is a beautiful word. It empowers us. it brings satisfaction. And since you can now earn up to 4% cash back on everyday purchases with Scotiabank Gold MasterCard, that's a lot of satisfaction. Plus, you get a welcome bonus. Scotiabank Gold MasterCard is the card that keeps on giving. So it's easier for you. Say yes to even more cash back. Apply today. Call or visit your nearest Scotiabank branch.
Time now to get on the field. All the action happened over the past week, and of course start with the women. The women's competition is really in high gear, and UWA, they are almost already out front, but I'll let my true statistician get in on the action. Nick, how has the women's league been playing out?
It's been playing out very well. Very interesting football on show every week. Some of the latest results on November 3rd, UE Women had a 3-1 win over Kickstart Genesis, and Kickstart Genesis are just about mid-table. Mavericks had a 12-0 win over Empire, and Empire have now gone on to concede 82 goals for the entire league season. So I think that next year they will be aiming to improve on that. Empire came back on November 6th and only got beat 3-0 by National Sports Council, and Kickstart and National Sports Council played out a 0-0 draw on November 10th. That was the last weekend of action, and UE Women then got a 12-0 victory over Empire, and that really contributed to the 82 goals. So at the end of everything, so far UE are leading the table after their 9 games with 22 points. Mavericks after their 9 have 16. Kickstart after their 10 have 15 points. Sports Council 5 points after their 9 games, and Empire still don't have a point as yet. After their 9 games, and they've lost all the games. So the action is still heating up in the league. The league is almost over, but I think that, of course, we don't know yet who's going to win, but we know who for sure probably isn't going to win, and that is Empire and the National Sports Council team. But still good football being played.
Now the youth, the babies of football, they've also been in action. They play on Saturdays here at the turf as well as around the island, and they, like the women, have some really huge score lines, which means the action is good as well.
Yeah, we see a lot of quality in the juniors as well, and speaking about technical director and technical development, I think that at this level our technical development is showing a lot of improvement. On Saturday last weekend of action, in the under 11s, we saw a big result for Pinelands, 6-0 over Route 16, or Route 16, I think that's how it's pronounced, Route. Kickstart had an 8-0 victory over Empire as well. And in the under 13s, Barbados Soccer Academy and Pinelands played out a 3-all draw. In the under 15s, Pride of Gaw Hill beat Pro Shotters 4-1, and Pinelands also had another big win, 6-1 over Whitehall. And in the under 17s, we saw the under 17 arms of 2 Premier League clubs. Paradise, first of all, they won 3-1 over Kickstart, and Barbados Soccer Academy won 2-1 over the Barbados Youth Service. So a lot of action, a lot of quality, and very excited to see what's going to happen in the remaining weeks.
Well, just of note is that the youth and the women do play on Saturdays. The women are on Saturday evening at the turf. The juniors, they are here at the turf on mornings as well as around the island at various venues. So you can catch all the action in the women's and the youth in the Saturday edition, I should say, of football in Barbados. Now, after this, we're going to get into the big men of the game.
Tanny, Milano, Shoe Locker, and Brands. We're the shoe masters, the best in the land. For all of your family, your feet are in good hands. With Tanny, Milano, Shoe Locker, and Brands. Our 6 stores island-wide, the shoe gold mines. Men, women's, children, enough top lines. Making your feet happy for 40 years plus. Shoes for every occasion, so be sure to visit us. Visit us, visit us, visit us, visit us, visit us. Tanny, Milano, Shoe Locker, and Brands. We're the shoe masters, the best in the land.
Fifth is also an ace marksman from just about 18 or 20 years.
A lot of groomers on the field.
Yeah, definitely so, Keith. So your name being represented very well here.
I would hope so on either side.
We wait for the free kick. It's looking a bit like Odo. He's very interested. Curls it. Post and the save is brilliant as well. Keefe pushes it up and then
It's the modern era. I would like when players maintain their club, and maybe 2 clubs may be good enough, but I don't like when the players are going here, there, and everywhere. Chance, Chandler, that's a goal.
And goal!
You can't give him a chance like that.
He pile drive that one from 20 yards out, and be just 20 to his midfield. Down the right hand side, Graves. Inside again, sliding on the surface, gives it up to Kimar Griffith instead. To the box, it's the left foot shot hand.
That's a goal, Trav. I could have seen it.
Superb stuff there.
That's a goal.
And as he struck it, Keefe was...
Just a reminder that you are tuned into First Touch, and it's time to go over to the big leagues, the men. One of the most entertaining games of the past week would have been between Ellerton and the BDF. It ended 3-all, so I'm going to tell you the action was obviously Nick. That is the one that was the cracker-jacker for the week.
Yeah, it was, and I had the pleasure of providing commentary on this game as well. It started well. BDF got 2 quick goals in the first 20 minutes or so. Rashad Jules was the scorer of both of those very good goals. But then Ellerton began their comeback just in the last minute before half-time, and that was a very crucial time for them to score a very good goal as well by Anson Barrow. Then the second half, I think the BDF kind of thought that the 2-1 win was enough, the 2-1 scoreline was enough, and they took their foot off the gas. Ellerton continued to come at them, even with their makeshift defence, makeshift midfield, makeshift team, really and truly. And then they took the 3-2 lead with about 15-20 minutes left in the game, and BDF scored just probably in the last minute of stoppage time. So it was a very good game from start to finish, from end to end, and I think the 3-3 draw is kind of understandable and acceptable for both teams.
Okay, Empire, and then you had Pinelands as well in action in the other 2 games.
Not Pinelands.
It was not Pinelands.
No.
It was the Andrew Lions.
Yeah.
Right, so Andrew Lions. So you had those in the next 2 games.
Yeah, Empire had a good win over Youth Milan. I think that Youth Milan, they come to compete, and they know that it is a step above what they've been accustomed to for the last 5 years. But I think that's still going to take some time for them to acclimatize fitness-wise, playing on the turf as well. This is their first time really playing on the turf. And Empire showed their experience with that 2-0 win. Jabari Papi Chandler, again, was one of the main architects of that win again. And the last game of the night was Paradise beating St. Andrew Lions 3-1. And St. Andrew Lions have really brought a different enthusiasm about our local league because of the injection of Brazilians. And all 3 of them started again in that game. But one of them scored as well, scored the opening goal. But I think that, again, experience tells for a lot. And Paradise have a lot of that and a lot of good players. And one of their most experienced players, Trevor Mears, he really had a boss performance in midfield as well. And that contributed to the 3-1 win. And I think Paradise were good value for the win.
This is when the momentum is really picking up now in the BFA Premier League. And what do you think of it so far? This is just about week number 3 or 4 into the competition.
I think it's very evenly matched in both zones. Last season we saw teams like Empire kind of close to the bottom of their zone. St. Andrew Lions is another team that we expect to do well. Pori Spring, all these teams have really played differently than they played last season. So we expect that. Whereas Zone 1 last year was a little more competitive than Zone 2, I think that both zones this year are going to be equally as competitive.
Okay, now if you want to get all the action from the BFA games, whether it be the women, the youth, or the Premier League, you can check any of the social media platforms. There's the website, www.barbadosfa.com. You also have Instagram as well as Twitter, which is at BarbadosFA. And there are the upcoming fixtures this week before we go into the Tridents facing USVI. You have some upcoming fixtures for the Premier League season. So for the Premier League, so what do you expect of the games coming this week?
There are no games this week because international. We have changed our season and we are coinciding with the European season. So whereas the European season will be on break, our season will also be on break. Right. And the only game we have to look forward to is the Concacaf Nations League.
What do you think of the Tridents? Are we ready for USVI? How do we match up against USVI? What are our stats coming in?
Well, coming in, we are winless in our last 5, but USVI are also winless in their last 7 or 8 games. We come into this game on the back of a 3-0 defeat to El Salvador, but I think that in that game we competed well against them. And now that we take on a much lower ranked opponent, I'm expecting that Barbados will take away the win, but it's still going to be difficult.
Now, USVA, even though they might seem on paper as the team who is, say, the weaker of the two, what do you think about Barbados, though? Because one of the things the traders have been doing consistently is that we go hard and we actually get the goals early in, but then we're not on the back end of things. We tend to falter off or fade off. Do you think that that's something we need to look at in this game with USVA?
Certainly, we have to look at both ends of the pitch. We have to look at our defense, because our defense has been shuffled around for the last few games. And I'm a staunch supporter of the fact that we must keep a settled and a known defense so that these guys can gel together, because defense is a lot to do with communication. And if you have a lot of guys who are on the same wavelength, I think that defense goes better for our team. And also at the other end of the pitch, I've noticed that our strikers do not get a lot of the ball. Our strikers are starved of the ball, and obviously they can't have shots, they don't have chances as well. So once we address those two ends of the pitch, I think that we should be okay against USVI.
Would you like to call a scoreline, given that, you know, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down with you?
Yeah.
But would you like to really give a prediction?
I think we will grind it out on Sunday, and I think that a 2-1 win seems appropriate for Barbados.
So you're giving USVA 1 goal?
Yeah, I'll give them 1, but just to be nice. Maybe I'm too nice, but a 2-1 win for Barbados would be satisfactory for me as a fan.
Okay, and those persons who want to catch that action with the USVA and the Barbados Tridents, it is Sunday, November the 18th, 7 p.m. right here at the Wildy AstroTurf. That's it for this edition of First Touch. I'm sure next week you're going to look forward to hear just how the Barbados Tridents did. There's the Women's League continuing, the youth, and then we're back into Premier League as well. All this and more will come up in the next edition, but here now is a wrap for this week.